Hello and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight as we bring you an exclusive, deeply immersive look at the remarkable new video of Duchess Meghan Markle, in which she lays bare her soul, sheds tears, and delivers an impassioned declaration that has set the internet alight. I'm done with having to prove myself. Imagine the lights of the studio dimming ever so slightly as Meghan appears via video link, her eyes glistening with emotion, her voice trembling with the weight of decades of expectation, and in that moment the world stops to listen. Tonight's extended special report peels back every layer of context, emotion, and cultural significance behind Meghan's first ever appearance as a guest on another host podcast, The Jamie Kern-Lima Show, and examines the sweeping implications for her life, her family, and the enduring struggle to be truly seen on her own terms. Since stepping into the global spotlight nearly a decade ago, first as a rising actress on a hit television series, then as a senior member of the British royal family, and now as an advocate, entrepreneur, and podcaster in her own right, Meghan Markle has faced an unrelenting barrage of scrutiny, critique, and at times outright hostility. Millions have watched her journey from the bright lights of a Hollywood set to the gilded corridors of Buckingham Palace, from fairy tale wedding hopes to the often painful realities of royal life, and ultimately to her bold decision, alongside her husband Prince Harry, to forge a new path in California. Over the years, headlines have alternated between praising her grace under pressure and vilifying her every move, as if the simple act of living could ever satisfy the world's demands. Yet tonight, in a rare moment of vulnerability, Meghan tells us she's better than okay, even as she acknowledges the truth we all know too well. We spend so much of our lives trying to prove something, to prove that you're enough. The Jamie Kern-Lima Show podcast, hosted by the trailblazing entrepreneur who broke barriers in the beauty industry, offers a platform for candid conversations with remarkable women who have beaten the odds. When Meghan agreed to appear, marking her first guest spot on another creator series rather than her own confessions of a female founder, fans and media outlets sensed something monumental was on the horizon. After all, this is a woman who has redefined what it means to be a modern duchess, who has launched global initiatives for women's empowerment, and who has already founded her own production company. Yet here she was, a guest rather than a host, entering someone else's space to share pieces of her own story. It was a potent reminder that even those who seem to possess it all can still seek refuge in another's invitation, and that an honest conversation can sometimes reveal truths that elude even the most polished public statements. From the very first moments of the episode, the air crackled with anticipation. Meghan's opening greeting, her warm voice tinged with a slight tremor, conveyed both excitement and apprehension. "Jamie, thank you so much for having me," she began, pausing briefly as her composure wavered. "It's such a privilege to be here with you." That simple statement set the tone for what was to come, an intimate exchange that would peel back the layers of Meghan's life in Montecito, her year-round efforts to balance motherhood and public service, and her ongoing quest to live a life defined not by others' expectations but by her own values. As the conversation unfolded, Meghan reflected on her life in Montecito, the fairy tale-like enclave where she and Prince Harry have built their home. She spoke tenderly of mornings spent stirring oats in the family kitchen, of spontaneous toddler giggles echoing down sunlit hallways, and of the rare stolen moments when she and Harry, tucked away from prying eyes, share coffee on a rose-scented patio. "There's something so grounding about waking up to the ocean breeze and knowing that your two little ones are playing in the garden," she said, her smile softening. "I feel incredibly blessed to have built this life and to share it with the people I love most." In that brief vignette, Meghan offered a glimpse of domestic tranquility so vivid that listeners could almost taste the salt in the air, see the sunlight filtering through palm fronds, and hear the laughter of Archie and Lilibet as they chased butterflies across the lawn. Yet amid those joys, Meghan made clear that her days are not defined solely by the pleasures of family life. She outlined the demands of her own podcast series, Confessions of a Female Founder, a project through which she amplifies the voices of women entrepreneurs, exploring everything from venture capital to personal branding. With each new episode, Meghan serves as both host and guiding spirit, using her platform to elevate stories that might otherwise go unheard. For me, it's been deeply fulfilling to hold a microphone for others, she explained. It's not about me. It's about creating space for women to speak their truths, share their struggles, and offer wisdom that can ignite change in someone else's life. Listeners on social media have praised the series for its authenticity, noting that Meghan's own experiences of hardship and reinvention lend her questions genuine empathy. And tonight, those very same instincts of lifting others found their way back to her as she spoke with Jamie as both a peer and a seeker of solidarity. It was, however, Meghan's reflection on the insidious, proving game that truly captured hearts. With tears gathering in her eyes, she recounted the endless rounds of implicit tests that society imposes, especially on women. The demand to prove one's intelligence, one's beauty, one's worthiness as a partner, a mother, a professional, even a human being. I'm so done with the proving game, she declared, voice quavering yet resolute. If you can't see who I am, that's your loss. I know the kind of friend I am. I know the kind of mother I am. I know how I show up for the people I love. Those words reverberated across social media within minutes. The hashtag #CarDoneProving skyrocketing into trending status on Twitter and Instagram. Millions found resonance in her declaration, sharing stories of their own exhaustion with the endless cycle of validation seeking, whether in boardrooms, on social media, or within the four walls of domestic life. To appreciate the magnitude of Meghan's admission, we must recall the extraordinary pressure cooker she has inhabited since marrying into the royal family in 2018. From the moment she stepped onto the steps of Westminster Abbey, Meghan's every move was magnified, her choice of dress analyzed, her facial expression scrutinized under microscopic lenses, her private struggles splashed across tabloids. At each turn, whether dealing with the invasive glare of paparazzi or the sting of unsubstantiated rumors, Meghan faced the unspoken demand to prove she belonged in Windsor, to prove she met the rigid standards of royal protocol, to prove that her background, even a career as a modestly successful American actress, did not render her unworthy of a role steeped in centuries of tradition. In her candid memories of that era, Meghan's contemporary message gains profound heft. To prove herself at every step meant sacrificing parts of her own authenticity, her own joy, and even her own sense of safety. In that context, her emotional, mid-podcast admission becomes far more than a fleeting moment of vulnerability. It becomes a watershed. She spoke of waking each morning to headlines that demanded her perfection, of scrolling through social media only to find thousands of critiques, of her hair, her accent, her clothes, her parenting style. It's relentless, she confessed, and it chips away at you until you start to question your own reality. Those remarks led many listeners to draw parallels with broader conversations about mental health, public scrutiny, and the cost of fame. Remarkably, Meghan's own journey from global icon back to private citizen, complete with newfound creative agency, has positioned her uniquely to speak on these themes. She has lived the extremes of both adulation and vitriol, and emerged determined to reclaim her narrative. Later in the interview, Meghan turned to speak lovingly of her husband, Prince Harry. Listeners could hear a soft glow in her voice as she described their partnership. "He's such a great partner," she said, pausing to collect herself. "He has lifted me up in ways I never thought possible. That man loves me so deeply. And together we've built a beautiful life with 2 healthy, joyful children." In that moment, Meghan conveyed not only personal affection, but also a broader statement of solidarity against forces that have sought to drive a wedge between them. The Sussexes' shared mission to carve out a private sphere of love and service away from the glare of official royal duties has drawn both admiration and criticism. Yet here, in the intimacy of Jamie's podcast space, Meghan reaffirmed the bedrock of devotion that underpins their unconventional but unwavering union. As the conversation wound toward its close, Jamie Kern-Lima lobbed the inevitable question: would Meghan, like Harry, one day write her own memoir? The audience leaned forward in their living rooms. Time stood still. Meghan smiled, a soft laugh escaping her lips, and answered with characteristic grace: "People are often curious if I'm going to write a memoir." I feel like I have a lot more life to live before I get there. With those words, she emphasized that her story is still unfolding, not neatly packaged, but alive and in motion. The promise of future chapters, unwritten and yet to be lived, left listeners both satisfied and eager for what's next. Throughout the podcast, Meghan's tears and laughter were equally genuine, each emotion serving as a counterpoint to the highly curated image we often see in glossy magazines or heavily produced video statements. Her willingness to show up fully human, voice shaking, eyes glistening, words unscripted, struck a chord in a digital age hungry for authenticity. Social media lit up. Fans shared clips of her wiping away tears, paused on quotes about the proving game, and uploaded reaction videos that placed Meghan's struggles alongside their own. Women around the globe, from single mothers juggling multiple jobs to high-powered executives navigating male-dominated boardrooms, saw in Meghan's confession a mirror of their own battles for validation. And yet, the significance of this interview extends far beyond individual empathy. In a world where royalty, celebrity, business, and social media converge in a dizzying swirl, Meghan's candid moment represents a potent critique of the structures that demand proof of worth at every turn. It invites us to question the implicit contracts we sign when we step into public roles. The expectation that we must constantly demonstrate our competence, commitment, and likability. It challenges us to redefine what it means to be enough, not by a public metric, but by our own measure of integrity, kindness, and contribution to those we cherish. As we close tonight's feature, let us carry forward Meghan Markle's powerful message that the proving game exacts a toll on the human spirit, and that stepping away from it, declaring yourself sufficiently whole without external validation, can be the most radical act of self-care and truth-telling. Whether you're a global figure with millions of followers or someone whose only audience is a close circle of family and friends, the invitation remains the same: to recognize your own worth, to ground yourself in the values that truly matter, and to live boldly in the knowledge that you need not endlessly prove yourself to the world. Thank you for staying with us for this extended exploration of Meghan Markle's emotional podcast debut. We'll continue to track every reaction, every development, and every new chapter in her unfolding story. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and above all, remember that your worth is defined not by the applause you receive, but by the authenticity you live each day. Good night, and may you rest easy knowing you are enough just as you are.